the most important U.S. aircrafts used in World War II. The Bell P-39 Airacobra stands as one of the most unusual and misunderstood American fighters of World War II. Featuring a revolutionary mid-engine design, the aircraft placed its Allison V-17 10-engine behind the cockpit rather than in the nose. This unconventional layout allowed engineers to mount a powerful 37mm cannon firing through the propeller hub, supplemented by machine guns in the nose and wings. The P-39's design offered several advantages. The mid-engine configuration provided excellent visibility for the pilot and improved weight distribution. The tricycle landing gear, rare for fighters of that era, made ground handling easier and safer. The car-like doors on both sides of the cockpit were another unique feature that facilitated quick entry and exit. However, the Airacobra struggled in its intended role with American forces. The removal of its turbo supercharger during development to save weight and reduce complexity proved fatal to its high-altitude performance. In the European and Pacific theaters, where air combat often occurred above 15,000 feet, the P-39 was outclassed by enemy fighters. American pilots found it disappointing compared to aircraft like the P-51 Mustang or P-47 Thunderbolt. The P-39's true success story unfolded on the Eastern Front. Through the Lend-Lease program, nearly half of all P-39 seconds produced, approximately 4,700 aircraft, went to the Soviet Union. Soviet pilots loved the Airacobra for low-altitude combat, where its heavy armament and maneuverability excelled against German ground targets and aircraft. The Soviet Union's top two aces, Alexander Pokryshkin and Grigory Reshkelov, flew P-39s exclusively, with Pokryshkin scoring 59 victories in the type. While the P-39 Airacobra never achieved the fame of other American fighters, in U.S. service its significant contribution to Soviet air superiority demonstrates that the right aircraft in the right hands can prove decisive. The Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress stands as the most iconic American bomber of World War II, symbolizing the United States' strategic air power and industrial might. Introduced in 1938, this four-engine heavy bomber became the backbone of the U.S. Army Air Force's daylight precision bombing campaign against Nazi Germany. The B-17 earned its Flying Fortress nickname from its formidable defensive armament. Bristling with up to 1350 caliber machine guns in later models, it could defend itself against enemy fighters from nearly any angle. The aircraft's rugged construction allowed it to absorb extraordinary battle damage and still bring crews home safely, creating legendary stories of B-17s returning with massive holes, destroyed engines, and shattered tail sections. Operating at altitudes up to 35,000 feet, B-17s flew in tight defensive formations during daylight, raids deep into enemy territory. The famous Memphis Belle and countless other aircraft participated in missions against German industry, oil refineries, and transportation networks. These raids, though costly in lives and aircraft, systematically destroyed Germany's war-making capability. The B-17's impact extended beyond its bombing effectiveness. It represented American determination and technological prowess, with over 12,700 aircraft produced during the war. Each bomber required a crew of 10 men working in cramped, freezing conditions while facing intense anti-aircraft fire and determined fighter attacks. Crew casualties were devastating. The 8th Air Force alone suffered over 26,000 deaths. The aircraft's Norden bombsight enabled the doctrine of precision daylight bombing, distinguishing American strategy from the British night area bombing campaign. While actual accuracy fell short of pre-war promises, the combined bomber offensive proved crucial to Allied victory. Today, the B-17 remains an enduring symbol of courage and sacrifice, representing the young men who flew through hell at 25,000 feet to defeat tyranny. Its distinctive silhouette evokes the greatest generation's determination to win World War II. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this, Please hit subscribe and follow for more World War II aircraft content. It really helps us out. Now, back to the action. The Boeing B-29 Superfortress represented the pinnacle of World War II aviation technology and the most expensive weapons project of the war, costing nearly $3 billion, even more than the Manhattan Project. This revolutionary four-engine heavy bomber introduced innovations that transformed military aviation and played the decisive role in defeating Japan. The B-29 was a technological marvel far ahead of its time. It featured a pressurized cabin, allowing crews to operate comfortably at high altitudes without oxygen masks. Remotely controlled gun turrets operated by computerized fire control systems, and massive 141-foot wingspan. Its four Wright R3350 engines, each producing 2,200 horsepower, enabled speeds over 350 miles per hour and operational altitudes exceeding 30,000 feet. Performance unmatched by any bomber of its era. With a range of 3,250 miles, the B-29 could strike targets deep in the Japanese home islands from bases in the Mariana Islands. Beginning in late 1944, superfortresses conducted a devastating strategic bombing campaign against Japanese industry and cities. The aircraft's most infamous missions included the firebombing raids on Tokyo, which killed over 100,000 people in a single night in March 1945, causing more casualties than either atomic bomb. On August 6 and August 9, 1945, B-29 seconds, Enola Gay, and Bockscar dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, immediately killing over 200,000 people and forcing Japan's surrender. These missions ended World War II and ushered in the atomic age. The B-29's combat effectiveness came at enormous cost during development and early operations. Engine fires plagued the aircraft, and its complexity required extensive maintenance. Yet despite these challenges, the Superfortress proved unstoppable, systematically destroying Japan's ability to wage war. The B-29 revolutionized strategic bombing and remained in service through the Korean War, cementing its legacy as one of history's most significant military aircraft. The North American P-51 Mustang is widely regarded as the finest fighter aircraft of World War II and the plane that won the air war over Europe. This sleek, single-engine fighter combined speed, range, maneuverability, and firepower in a package that no enemy aircraft could match. Originally designed for the British Royal Air Force in 1940, the early P-51 showed promise but lacked high-altitude performance. The breakthrough came when American engineers married the Mustang's aerodynamically refined airframe with the British Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. The result was extraordinary, a fighter capable of 440 miles per hour at 25,000 feet with phenomenal range. The P-51's most revolutionary feature was its range. Equipped with drop tanks, Mustangs could escort B-17 and B-24 bombers all the way to Berlin and back, over 600 miles. Before the Mustang's arrival in late 1943, unescorted American bombers suffered catastrophic losses to German fighters. The P-51 changed everything. Suddenly, American bombers had guardian angels that could outfight any Luftwaffe interceptor at any altitude. Armed with 6 50-caliber machine guns, the Mustang proved lethal in combat. American pilots achieved a kill ratio exceeding 10, 1 against German aircraft. The Mustang didn't just protect bombers, it aggressively hunted enemy fighters, destroying the Luftwaffe's experienced pilots and achieving total air superiority by 1944. The aircraft's impact was immediate and decisive. Luftwaffe pilots feared the Mustang's appearance, and German aircraft production couldn't replace losses fast enough. P-51 seconds also excelled at ground attack, strafing German airfields, trains, and vehicles with devastating effect. Over 15,000 Mustangs were produced during the war, serving in every theater. The aircraft continued flying in air forces worldwide into the 1980s. For its combination of performance, versatility, and war-winning impact, the P-51 Mustang stands as arguably the most important fighter aircraft in aviation history. General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the C-47 Skytrain one of the four most important weapons of World War II, alongside the atomic bomb, jeep, and bazooka. This humble transport aircraft, the military version of the commercial DC-3, proved absolutely indispensable to Allied victory through its unglamorous but vital work, moving troops, cargo, and wounded soldiers. The C-47's reliability and versatility made it irreplaceable, capable of carrying 6,000 pounds of cargo, 28 fully equipped troops, or 14 stretcher patients. It operated from primitive airstrips in jungles, deserts, and mountains. Its twin Pratt and Whitney engines and rugged construction allowed it to absorb battle damage and keep flying. Pilots praised its forgiving handling characteristics and ability to operate in nearly any conditions. The C-47 participated in every major Allied operation. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, over 800 Skytrains dropped paratroopers behind enemy lines in Normandy, marking the beginning of the liberation of Europe. During Operation Market Garden, C-47 seconds delivered British and American airborne forces deep into Holland. In the Pacific, they flew the treacherous hump route over the Himalayas, supplying Chinese forces fighting Japan with desperately needed materials. Beyond combat operations, C-47 seconds performed countless mercy missions. They evacuated wounded soldiers from frontline airstrips, saving thousands of lives through rapid medical transport. They dropped supplies to surrounded units, including the famous resupply of Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge. Over 10,000 degrees Celsius, 47s were produced during the war, and the aircraft served in virtually every Allied air force. Its civilian counterpart, the DC-3, had already revolutionized commercial aviation in the 1930s, but the military C-47 proved wars are won not just with fighters and bombers, but with logistics. Decades after the war, C-47 seconds continued flying worldwide, testament to a design so perfect it became timeless. This unglamorous transport truly earned its place among history's most important aircraft. The Grumman F-6F Hellcat stands as the most successful naval fighter in history, destroying more enemy aircraft than any other Allied fighter and breaking the back of Japanese naval aviation in the Pacific War. With a staggering kill ratio of 19:1, the Hellcat transformed American carrier operations from desperate defense to overwhelming dominance. Introduced in 1943, the Hellcat arrived at the perfect moment. American forces had survived the dark early days with the capable but outmatched F-4F Wildcat. The F-6 degrees Fahrenheit incorporated lessons learned from captured Japanese Zero fighters and combat experience. Powered by a massive 2,000 horsepower, Pratt & Whitney R-2800 engine, the Hellcat achieved 380 miles per hour and could climb to 20,000 feet in just 7 minutes. The aircraft's design prioritized pilot survival and practical combat effectiveness over theoretical performance. Heavy armor protected the pilot and fuel tanks. 6 50-caliber machine guns delivered devastating firepower. The Hellcat could absorb tremendous punishment and bring pilots home, a crucial advantage over the fragile but maneuverable Zero. American Industrial Might produced over 12,000 Hellcats, while pilot training programs created a steady stream of well-trained aviators. The Hellcat's finest hour came during the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944, known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. In this decisive engagement, Hellcat pilots shot down approximately 600 Japanese aircraft in 2 days, obliterating Japan's carrier air groups. Japanese naval aviation never recovered from this catastrophe, Hellcat pilots accounted for nearly 5,200 enemy aircraft destroyed, with 75% of the Navy's air-to-air victories. Top Navy aces, including David Mack Campbell, who scored 34 kills, flew Hellcats exclusively. The aircraft operated from escort carriers, fleet carriers, and even land bases throughout the Pacific, rugged, reliable, and deadly. The F-6F Hellcat gave American carrier forces an insurmountable advantage. While flashier aircraft captured public imagination, the Hellcat quietly and efficiently won the Pacific Air War. The consolidated B-24 Liberator holds the distinction of being the most produced American military aircraft in history, with over 18,500 built during World War II. While often overshadowed by its more glamorous cousin, the B-17 Flying Fortress, the B-24 proved equally vital to Allied victory through its versatility, range, and sheer numbers. The B-24's design emphasized performance and payload capacity. Its high aspect ratio Davis wing provided exceptional fuel efficiency, giving the Liberator superior range and speed compared to the B-17. Capable of carrying 8,000 pounds of bombs over 2,100 miles, the B-24 could reach targets the B-17 couldn't. Its maximum speed of 290 miles per hour made it roughly 30 miles per hour faster than the Flying Fortress, though it was harder to fly and less forgiving of battle damage. Liberators served in every theater and performed remarkably diverse missions. In Europe, B-24s flew alongside B-17s in the Strategic Bombing Campaign, striking German oil refineries, factories, and transportation networks. The famous raid on Plesti oil fields in Romania, one of the war's most dangerous missions, was conducted entirely by B-24s flying at treetop level. In the Pacific, the B-24's extended range proved invaluable across vast ocean distances. The bomber struck Japanese shipping, installations, and cities from bases scattered across the Pacific Islands. B-24s also excelled in anti-submarine warfare, patrolling the Atlantic and protecting convoys from German U-boats. Modified versions served as transports, reconnaissance aircraft, and tankers. The B-24's distinctive features, its twin-tail fins, slab-sided fuselage, and tricycle landing gear, made it instantly recognizable. While crews often preferred the B-17's ruggedness and lower operational altitude, the Liberator's superior range and payload made it indispensable. Ford Motor Company's Willow Run plant produced one B-24 every 63 minutes at peak production, exemplifying American industrial dominance. This mass production capability, combined with the aircraft's versatility, made the B-24 Liberator a cornerstone of Allied air power. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, affectionately nicknamed Jug for its barrel-shaped fuselage, was the heaviest single-engine fighter of World War II and one of the most effective. Weighing up to 8 tons fully loaded, this massive fighter proved that brute force, properly applied, could dominate the skies and devastate ground targets. Powered by the enormous Pratt & Whitney R2800 double Wasp engine, producing 2,000 horsepower, the P-47 achieved speeds over 430 miles per hour at high altitude, thanks to its turbo supercharger. The aircraft's size housed 8 50-caliber machine guns with 3,400 rounds of ammunition, more firepower than any other American fighter. Later models could carry up to 2,500 pounds of bombs or 10 rockets, transforming the Thunderbolt into a devastating fighter bomber. The P-47's greatest asset was its legendary toughness. Thick armor plating protected the pilot, and the radial engine could absorb tremendous punishment. Stories abound of Thunderbolts returning with hundreds of bullet holes, missing cylinders, and shattered control surfaces. Pilots trusted the Jug to bring them home when other aircraft would have disintegrated. In Europe, P-47s initially escorted bombers before the longer-ranged P-51 Mustang arrived. The Thunderbolt, then found its true calling, ground attack. Armed with bombs, rockets, and those 8 machine guns, P-47s systematically destroyed German tanks, trains, vehicles, and installations. During the Battle of the Bulge and the drive into Germany, Thunderbolts provided devastating close air support, disrupting enemy movements and supply lines. The P-47 excelled in the Pacific as well, where its ruggedness proved invaluable in harsh jungle conditions. Over 15,600 Thunderbolts were produced, making it the most produced American fighter after the P-51. Republic Aviation's motto, "It'll get you home," captured the essence of the P-47 Thunderbolt. While not the fastest or most maneuverable fighter, its combination of firepower, durability, and versatility made it one of World War II's most successful and beloved aircraft. The Douglas SBD, Dauntless, earned its place in history during 5 crucial minutes on June 4, 1942, at the Battle of Midway. In that brief span, Dauntless dive bombers sank 3 Japanese aircraft carriers, fundamentally altering the course of the Pacific War. No other American aircraft can claim such a decisive impact in a single engagement. The SBD, Scout Bomber Douglas, was designed as a carrier-based dive bomber, combining reconnaissance capability with precision attack power. Its distinctive perforated dive brakes allowed near-vertical dives at controlled speeds, enabling pilots to release their 1,000-pound bomb from as low as 1,500 feet with remarkable accuracy. This precision made the Dauntless far more effective than horizontal bombers against moving ships. The aircraft's design emphasized reliability over speed or glamour. 2 50-caliber forward-firing guns and twin 30-caliber rear guns provided defensive armament. While not fast at 255 miles per hour maximum speed, the Dauntless proved rugged and dependable. Its radial engine could absorb damage, and the simple, sturdy airframe operated effectively from both carriers and island airstrips throughout the Pacific. At Midway, SBD crews achieved what seemed impossible. Arriving over the Japanese fleet just as fighter cover had descended to attack American torpedo bombers, Dauntless pilots caught 4 carriers with their decks loaded with fueled and armed aircraft. In minutes they sank Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Later that afternoon they fatally damaged Hiryu. Japan's carrier striking power was broken, and the strategic initiative passed permanently to the United States. The Dauntless continued distinguishing itself throughout the war, sinking more enemy shipping than any other Allied bomber. At Guadalcanal, the Coral Sea, the Philippine Sea, and countless other battles, SBD crews provided the striking power that won America's island-hopping campaign. Over 5,900 Dauntless bombers were produced, and the aircraft remained in frontline service until 1944. While overshadowed by fighters and heavy bombers in popular memory, the SBD Dauntless literally turned the tide of World War II. The Grumman TBF Avenger, later produced by General Motors as the TBM, became the U.S. Navy's primary torpedo bomber and one of the Pacific War's most effective ship killers. This robust, 3-seat carrier aircraft sank more enemy shipping tonnage than any other Allied aircraft, proving instrumental in destroying Japan's merchant fleet and naval power. Introduced in 1942, the Avenger replaced the inadequate TBD Devastator after its catastrophic losses at Midway. The TBF featured a powerful 1,700 horsepower, right radial engine, internal bomb bay, capable of carrying a 2,000-pound torpedo or 4 500-pound bombs, and defensive armament, including a dorsal turret and ventral gun position. Its rugged construction and reliable performance made it beloved by crews who trusted it to bring them home. The Avenger's versatility extended far beyond torpedo attacks. It excelled at level bombing, anti-submarine warfare, mine-laying, and reconnaissance. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea and the Battle of Leyte Gulf, Avengers helped sink multiple Japanese carriers and battleships. The aircraft's radar equipment made it particularly effective at night operations and hunting submarines, accounting for 30 Japanese submarines destroyed. One notable Avenger pilot was future President George H.W. Bush, who flew combat missions in the Pacific. On September 2, 1944, Bush's Avenger was shot down during a strike on Chichijima, though he successfully bailed out and was rescued by a submarine. His 2 crewmen perished. Nearly 10,000 Avengers were produced during the war, serving with both the U.S. Navy and Royal Navy. The aircraft operated from fleet carriers, escort carriers, and land bases across the Pacific. Its ability to deliver devastating strikes against ships while surviving intense anti-aircraft fire made it indispensable. The Avenger remained in service well into the 1950s, testament to its excellent design. More than just a torpedo bomber, the TBF-TBM Avenger served as the Navy's primary strike aircraft, systematically destroying Japan's ability to wage war at sea. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning stood out as one of World War II's most distinctive aircraft, with its twin-boom design, twin engines, and central nacelle housing the pilot and armament. German pilots called it der Gabelschwanzteufel, the fork-tailed devil, while it became the mount of America's greatest aces in the Pacific theater. The P-38's unconventional design offered significant advantages. Twin 1,425 horsepower Allison engines provided redundancy and exceptional range, up to 1,300 miles with drop tanks. This range proved crucial in the vast Pacific, where distances between bases stretched for hundreds of miles. The concentrated nose armament of one 20mm cannon and 450 caliber machine guns, all firing forward without synchronization, delivered devastating firepower. America's 2 top aces flew P-38s exclusively. Major Richard Bong achieved 40 confirmed kills, while Major Thomas McGuire scored 38 victories, both operating primarily in the Southwest Pacific. The Lightning's speed, range, and twin-engine reliability made it ideal for long-over-water missions, where a single-engine failure in other fighters meant certain death. The P-38's most famous mission occurred on April 18, 1943, when 16 Lightnings flew 430, 5 miles over open ocean to intercept and shoot down Admiral Isamoku Yamamoto's transport aircraft, killing the architect of Pearl Harbor. This precisely executed long-range interception mission showcased the Lightning's unique capabilities. In Europe, the P-38 faced challenges. Its engines struggled in cold, high-altitude conditions, and German fighters exploited its large size and relatively poor roll rate. However, in the Mediterranean and Pacific theaters, the Lightning excelled at fighter sweeps, ground attack, and photo reconnaissance. Over 10,000 P-38s were produced in various configurations, including photo reconnaissance and night fighter variants. The aircraft served from Alaska's Aleutian Islands to North Africa, from Italy to the jungles of New Guinea. The P-38 Lightning's combination of range, firepower, and distinctive appearance made it one of the war's most recognizable aircraft, and a vital weapon in achieving air superiority across the Pacific. The Vought F-4U Corsair, with its distinctive inverted gull wings and massive propeller, became the most capable carrier fighter of World War II and achieved the highest kill ratio of any U.S. fighter at 11:1. This bent-wing marvel combined speed, firepower, and ruggedness into a package that Japanese pilots learned to fear above all others. Powered by the enormous 2,000-horsepower Pratt and Whitney R2800 double Wasp engine, the same engine used in the P-47 Thunderbolt, the Corsair was the first American fighter to exceed 400 miles per hour in level flight. The characteristic gull-wing design solved a critical problem. It allowed shorter, stronger landing gear while providing ground clearance for the massive 13-foot propeller. 6 50-caliber machine guns, or four 20mm cannons delivered punishing firepower, supplemented by bombs or rockets for ground attack missions. Initially designed for carrier operations, the F-4U faced early problems. Its long nose blocked forward visibility during landing, and it bounced dangerously on carrier decks. The Navy temporarily relegated Corsairs to land-based Marine squadrons, where the aircraft became legendary. Marine pilots flying from Pacific Island bases devastated Japanese fighters and provided devastating close air support for ground forces. By 1944, improved versions returned to carrier operations, where the Corsair dominated through war's end. The aircraft's speed allowed it to dictate engagement terms, diving on enemy formations and climbing away before opponents could respond. Its structural strength permitted aggressive dive-bombing attacks that would have torn apart lesser aircraft. Famous Marine ace Major Gregory "Pappy" Boyington scored 22 of his 28 kills in Corsairs, while leading the legendary Black Sheep Squadron. Countless other pilots achieved ace status in this formidable fighter. Over 12,500 Corsairs were produced, serving through the Korean War and beyond with several nations into the 1960s. The F-4U's combination of performance, versatility, and longevity makes it arguably the finest piston-engine fighter ever built, embodying American naval air power at its peak. The North American B-25 Mitchell earned immortality on April 18, 1942, when 16% of these medium bombers launched from the aircraft carrier USS Hornet to strike Tokyo in the daring Doolittle raid. This audacious mission, led by Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle, demonstrated that Japan was vulnerable to American attack just 4 months after Pearl Harbor, providing a desperately needed morale boost to the American public. Named after aviation pioneer General Billy Mitchell, the B-25 was a twin-engine medium bomber designed for versatility and reliability. Powered by two Wright R-2600 radial engines, it could carry 3,000 pounds of bombs at speeds up to 275 miles per hour with a range of 1,350 miles. Its crew of 5 to 6 operated from a comfortable, relatively spacious fuselage compared to heavy bombers. The Mitchell's true strength lay in its adaptability. Standard bomber versions attacked targets across every theater, from Europe to the Pacific to North Africa. Strafer versions, bristling with up to 18% forward firing, 50 caliber machine guns, and a 75mm cannon in the nose, devastated Japanese shipping and ground targets. These commerce destroyers sank hundreds of enemy vessels and destroyed countless aircraft on the ground. In the Pacific, B-25s operating at low altitude wreaked havoc on Japanese supply lines. During the Battle of the Bismarck Sea in March 1943, Mitchell bombers, using skip bombing techniques, bouncing bombs off the water into ship hulls, helped annihilate an entire Japanese convoy. In Europe and the Mediterranean, B-25s struck bridges, airfields, and transportation networks with precision. Nearly 10,000 Billions 25s were produced during the war, serving with American, British, Soviet, and other Allied forces. The aircraft remained in service through the 1950s and saw combat again in various conflicts. While the Doolittle raid inflicted minimal physical damage on Japan, its psychological impact was enormous. The B-25 Mitchell proved that American ingenuity, courage, and industrial power would carry the war to the enemy's doorstep, no matter the odds. The Curtiss P-40 Warhawk may not have been the fastest or most advanced American fighter of World War II, but it was available in large numbers when America desperately needed it most. This rugged, reliable fighter held the line during the war's darkest early days and achieved fame with the legendary Flying Tigers in China. The P-40's distinctive shark-mouth nose art, made famous by the American Volunteer Group in China, became one of the war's most iconic images. Flying obsolescent P-40Bs and P-40Cs against superior Japanese aircraft in late 1941 and early 1942. Flying Tiger's pilots, led by Claire Chennault, developed innovative tactics that maximized the Warhawk's strengths. The P-40 couldn't outturn the nimble Zero, but it could outdive it, absorb more punishment, and deliver devastating firepower with 6 50-caliber machine guns. The Warhawk's liquid-cooled Allison engine limited high-altitude performance, making it outclassed by later fighters like the P-51 Mustang and P-47 Thunderbolt. However, at low and medium altitudes, properly flown P-40s proved competitive. Its robust construction and powerful armament made it effective for ground attack missions, where it excelled at strafing and dive-bombing enemy positions, vehicles, and installations. P-40s served in every theater of the war. In North Africa, Royal Air Force and American pilots flew Warhawks against German and Italian forces. In the Pacific, they defended Australia, New Guinea, and Alaska's Aleutian Islands. Soviet forces received thousands through Lend-Lease, using them effectively on the Eastern Front. Over 13,700 P-42s were produced, making it one of the most numerous American fighters. While technologically surpassed by 1943, the P-40 Warhawk's contribution during 1941 to 1942 proved invaluable. It equipped American and Allied squadrons when modern fighters weren't yet available, allowing pilots to gain combat experience and hold territory until superior aircraft arrived. The Warhawk didn't win the war, but it prevented defeat during America's most vulnerable period, a contribution equally vital to final victory.